So one of the big topics, of course, is always how to write music, how to actually write music. We've learned so much so far. We've learned how to do chords and scales and even rhythm, and we're kind of at the point where we can start putting this all together to make stuff of our own. After all, music is a creative expression, so we should see how we can be creative with it. Okay, so initially, what I want to talk about is the major scale, because we're going to look at this for chords. The major scale, if you remember, has major 1, this should be normal, major 1, minor 2, minor 3, major 4, major 5, minor 6, and diminished 7. Now, there's certain ways that these can go together. How do you use these notes, these concepts together? And it works kind of like this. We'll start with 1 because 1 is the powerhouse. You can kind of do whatever you want with this. The tonic is really versatile, and the chord progression works like this. You can go anywhere. This means anywhere after 1. Okay. To set up 1, usually this is very traditional. Of course, you can always break out of these rules, but it's good to understand the rules before you break them, right? You can go to, or I guess we should do it this way, 5 and 7. These are called your dominant functions, your dominants. They add a lot of, they add a lot of tendency tones and stuff that needs to be resolved, and this motion from 5 to 1 is huge and awesome and really useful. Okay, so 5 to 1, but really these are interchangeable too, so you can kind of do this and switch between them at any time if you want. 5 usually will go back to 1. This, again, this is very traditional. You can break out of this if you want to. Okay, next is your subdominants. These will set up your dominants, and these are your 4 and your 2. 4 and your 2. These are also interchangeable, so they can be bracketed like this and switched. These are your subdominant functions. Subdom. And you might be wondering, okay, well, dominant is 5, I know that, but why is 7 here? And it says, well, that's because if you were to imagine the 5 is made up of the 5th, the 7th, and the 2nd, right? And the 7th, the scale degrees of the 5, 7, and 2. And then the 7th is made up of, if we put the same thing here, this is made up of 7, 2, and 4. So these have a lot of notes in common. The only difference is the 5 and the 4. But remember what we talked about with the dominant 7th chord? The dominant 7th chord is the 5th, the 7th, the 2nd, and the 4th of the scale. And that's all of these notes. Okay, so they're very dominant. This whole thing kind of marries them together into one glorious sound. So let's get rid of this, and then we'll talk about subdominant a little bit more. Subdominant is the same thing. The 4 is made up of 4, 6, and 2. The 2 is made up of 2, 4, and I did that wrong. 4, 6, and 1. The 2 is made up of 2, 4, and 6. And again, they have a lot in common. Not as much gravity as these two do. These are way more closely related than these are, but similar enough. Okay. And then we have 2 more chords to throw in, and these will go here, by the way. So you can go from here to there. And then with 2 more chords, one is the 6th, and that will set up this. And finally, the 3. 3 is, let's go ahead and use white. 3 is really strange. It's not really a commonly used chord ever, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Again, 1 can go anywhere. So if we wanted to make a random thing, a random chord progression. So we're making a chord progression. Usually, what's common, because everything comes in really simple chord progression. It comes in really simple terms. Is you pick 4 chords. This is very, very standard. Really basic. Pick 4 chords and then simply repeat this forever. And you could use this for your entire piece, or you could use this for a section, or you could switch it up and use other things as well. You can make these longer. You can put 2 chords in one, so now you have a chord here, chord here, chord here, chord here, and you have 8. Or I've seen ones that will have like 1 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 1, 2, 1 chord, that kind of thing. So you get like this. It reminds me of the cha-cha, the dance where you go 1, 2, cha-cha-cha, right? You start off slow and then you go a little bit faster at the end. Something like that. So, but for today, we're going to use only the 3, or only the only the 4. So let's go ahead and start with 1, because it's nice to set up your tonic. Okay, so we're gonna start with 1. From there, we can go anywhere. We're gonna keep this really tame, guys. We're gonna keep this really tame and just go to 6 here. 1, 6, and then we'll just go 4 and 5 are way more common. But let's go with 2. Let's go with 2, 2, 5. Because if you do 1, 6, 4, 5, it's really, really, really common. To do 1, 6, 4, 5. The 4 is a little happier than I want to be today. Let's go with the minor 2 and be a little bit more grungy, if you will. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what this could look like on to sheet music. And this gets into something called voice leading when we talk about moving from one chord to another, voice leading. Because what you could do, if we'll keep this simple, let's just go into the key of C. What you could do is simply have your 1 chord, which is here, C, E, G, and you can move everything up to the 6 like this. We have A, C, and E, right? This is C, E, and G, A, C, and E, D, F, A, and G, B, D. Okay, just like that. So what you could do is simply this: A, C, E, and you have these giant leaps like this: D, F, A, and this is totally okay. And then G, B, D. This is totally okay. Kind of. it just jumps around. Let's see if I can play this really quick. It sounds like this. Totally works. It makes sense. But maybe we can do it better. And this is where, like I said, voice leading comes in. So let's do the same thing down here. And we'll start with these chords. Let's space them out a little bit more. Because imagine these are singers, okay? So you have maybe I can draw someone singing. It's a singer, right? Okay, they're singing. Oh my god, I am not an artist. Okay, so they're singing, and if you're going from one note to the next, like this one, all the way up to that one, it's really hard to sing this line. Imagine if you're the soprano and you're singing this line, it would sound like this. That's really hard to sing. And down here, same thing, if you're the lowest note here. It's really difficult to sing. These leaps are really, really challenging. But there's an easier way to do this. So let's talk about voice leading. Okay, so imagine, if you will, if we inverted this. Maybe I like to do first inversion here just for fun. Okay. And here we have A, C, and E, right? So what we could do, again, this is C, E, and G. And stacked in thirds, it would be C, E, and G. What we're spacing it, we're doing first inversion. So you could write 1, 6 if you want here. Okay, hope that all makes sense. Now we're going to go to the A, C, and E chord. A, C, E, and do a 6 chord. So let's go ahead and try that. A, C, and E. We can keep the E the same. We have 2 E's in both of them, so we can keep that the same. This note stays the same. Super useful. The G can go up to an A, and the C can also stay right there. So all we're doing is changing one note. So the singers are much happier because you can stay here, and you can stay down here, and this note goes up one step in the scale. So your top note now goes like this. Instead of before it was going G to E, now it's staying C, C. Right? So so much easier to sing that. Your E is staying the same, and your G is simply going, instead of this note going E, the middle singer here going E to C, you can go really small distances here. Much easier to sing, much easier to put this in. So again, here we have the whole chord going to the next chord versus this one. It's much smoother. In fact, if you were to tie this along and you don't even have to play, you don't reinstate this note by playing it again, you would just have this chord, and then this one note moves. And it's much smoother. This is called really good voice leading. Very smooth. Okay, so let's continue and do the rest of the voice leading, and then we'll finish this up. So we have D, F, and A. D, F, and A. Let's see. We have an A. That's the same. We got A. We're looking for a D and an F. Now, if you were to look at this and you're wondering which way to go, the C, the closest F is up here, but the closest D is right there. So it's better to use D because it's a lot closer. We can do that. And then your E just goes to F here. Okay, so this is very good right there. Again, so far it sounds like this. Let's see. Oh, I messed up. Okay, one more time. Okay. So again, your notes are really close. You're going C, C, D, which is super easy to sing. E, E, F, which is super easy to sing. That's an F. Okay, so one more chord before we finish this part. We got G, B, and D. Yeah, this works. So everything's just kind of going up if you do it this way. G, B, and D here. Okay. G, B, and D. And again, the D is staying the same, and then your A is going to B by one step, and your F is going to G. Again, it really helps to imagine these as singers because it makes your voice leading so much clearer. Because whether you like it or not, or whether people tell you otherwise or not, all music comes from singing practices, which is kind of cool because instruments are said to be mimicking the voice. So the possibilities that the voice can, all the possible ways the voice can come out, this is all generated through the rest of music. Okay, so that is how to make a chord progression. If you play this, this is really nice. We're gonna stop here for now. Maybe this is our chorus or something, or this is our verse. And that's how you make a chord progression.